What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of The Dig, a series dedicated to helping you improve profitability on your farm.
Today, we're talking all about in-season decision-making based off the profits. I'm Aaron, and this is Colin.
And I'm Travis Burnett, field agronomist, Northern Indiana. Welcome to my episode of The Dig.
No.
This is not your episode, it's our episode.
We're gonna do this together.
How we do this?
We're gonna do this together.
All right.
Let's dig in.
See you guys later.
You be back later?
Maybe.
It seems like every year we're faced with losing a little bit of stand. Maybe it's in one field, or maybe it's in all of our fields. Emergence, crusting, cold weather, and many other in-season factors can affect the number of plants that are left standing in our fields.
And this issue leads to one of our most common questions we get. If I've lost half my stand, do I still put down the same amount of nitrogen?
That's why 2 years ago, we implemented our thin stand management nitrogen response study in our effort to evaluate in-season management decisions related to nitrogen rates and reducing corn stands.
Guys, this is one of my absolute favorite studies in PFR. Well, it's not just about managing yield, but it's about maximizing profitability.
Here in PFR, we wanted to dig down to the bottom of this question. It's kind of corny, it's the name of our show.
I get it.
Anyways, we want to get down to the bottom of this question and set out to test a high and a low response hybrid to see if those factors varied as well. And when you look at our 2-year data, it's pretty clear that populations decreased, even all the way down to 26,000 plants per acre. It did not pay for us to cut back our nitrogen rates.
The data is a little less clear when we drop 20,000 plants per acre on whether or not we should reduce our nitrogen. This 2-year data shows that it is most cost effective to cut back our nitrogen by 40 pounds. But it's also important to remember that nitrogen prices have increased, but so have the prices of a bushel of corn.
So the bottom line, guys, if you find yourselves with 26,000 plants per acre or more, we're definitely not going to recommend you cut back your nitrogen rates. Now, if you do find yourself in a situation, I know there's some of these out there where you have even less than that, somewhere around 20,000 or a little more. In those situations, the data is not near as clear, right? But again, with today's commodity prices, I don't think we can afford to cut back on our nitrogen rates. If you do, add a stabilizer in, make sure that nitrogen sticks around and is available season long so we can maximize our productivity.
Okay, so we've discussed nitrogen management when it comes to thin stands. What about fungicides?
Tell me.
All right. So when we're looking at, say, 20,000 plants per acre, that seems like a scary number. It scares me, scares you probably.
I'm not scared.
Oh, okay. Well, it would scare most people. And it makes us question, should we really invest in that crop when we're gonna get a minimal return anyways?
But let's think again.
Think.
The 2-year data on our thin stand management fungicide response study is really clear that fungicides pay, regardless of planting, regardless of the final stand. See, just look at this data.
That's right, guys, and part of the reason is some of the new diseases we're dealing with today. Things like tar spot, southern rust, both of which are very aggressive diseases. And even though it's not PFR proven, 2 years worth of data is very clear that a fungicide in these reduced stand situations is very profitable.
Another important thing to think about here, when we publish these results, that was based on 487 corn, and we've got prices a little bit higher than that right now. It's clear that farmers should continue to manage stands for yield.
Enough about the corn. Let's get to the beans.
Beans?
Yeah. We got to talk about the beans. Similar to corn, when facing with late planted soybeans, our data proves it also pays to spray fungicide to the tune of 3.5 bushels per acre.
Golly, Colin, I love the sound of that tune. Late planted soybeans often face abiotic stresses during pod fill, and fungicide applications, they likely help alleviate that impact.
Whoa. Hold up, guys. There is one downside to fungicide applications on late planted soybeans, and that's delayed harvest. Okay, so you have to decide, is that extra 3 to 5 bushel worth it? Lots of things can come into play here, and that's where it's gonna be an individual decision. Okay, what's the size of your operation? How much help do you have at harvest? Maybe mama wants to go on vacation in December, and you have to get done before then. Okay, there's lots of things that come into that, but for my money, 3 to 5 bushel with today's commodity prices, I'm spraying that fungicide.
You hit the nail on the head, T-Bone. But from a profitability standpoint, fungicides will pay, regardless of planting date. Our return from this study was based on $12 per bushel soybeans and shows an ROI of $19 an acre. In today's market, that return would be significantly higher.
We talk all the time in PFR about how early planting pays, but even when planting late and potential yields are suppressed, the decision isn't what your overall yield is, it's whether or not adding a fungicide will increase your profitability. And our data says, heck yes it does.
Speaking of delayed planting, when faced with a late planted soybeans, there are a number of decisions that need to be made when managing for higher yield. If it's getting late and you're looking at June planting, most growers' first reaction would be to shorten up that soybean maturity.
But not so fast. Our planting date variety response study shows that from a yield perspective, it really doesn't pay to early up maturities. Our 2-year multi-location data clearly shows that when faced with delayed soybean planting, it pays to stick with that adapted maturity. Sticking to the plan maximizes the growing season and encourages higher pod set on the stem when planting late.
So after June 21st, the summer solstice, the nights start getting longer, and that impacts the decisions we should make on which varieties or what relative maturity of varieties we use in late planted situations. So in these late planted situations, a fuller season soybean is going to grow a bigger factory before switching into those reproductive stages, and that bigger factory is going to translate to more nodes per acre, which is really the factor we need to try and manage with soybeans.
So when it comes to that later planting like we were talking about, when we get past the second week of May, we want to start thinking about increasing those seeding rates by probably 10,000 seeds per acre for every week delayed past the second week of May. So if we're planting in the first or second week of June, we're talking about 30 to 40,000 more seeds per acre to keep up with that nodes per acre number that we're trying to maximize.
Oh, and by the way, with higher populations, we increase the height of that first node, which helps with harvestability.
All right, guys, that's enough data talk for one day. I did hear a rumor, though, that you guys are going to host some PFR tours. Tell me more.
Oh, PFR tours are the best, but what makes them so great is that we 100% tailor them to the farmers visiting us.
Yep, we don't believe in pre-canned scripts, unlike this one. Travis, wave. Or pre-baked cookie cutter tours. You tell us what you want to talk about, and we'll show you the studies relevant to what you're most interested in.
We'll take you out in the fields. We'll dig up plants.
That's the name of the show.
Yeah, you like that? And we'll give you an up-close and personal look at things most relevant to you.
Hey, that sounds pretty awesome. How do I go about signing up for one of these tours?
The easiest way is to reach out to your local Beck's representative, like T-Bone, or contact your local PFR site, like us. All of our contact information can be found in the 2021 PFR book.
Well, that does it for this episode.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
And we'll see you next time.
Get here, T-Bone, get here, get here.
On the dig. On the dig.
Are we saying on the dig?
We'll see you next time. The dig.
On. Say next time on.
Would you look at that? Just look at it.
Just look at it. Have you seen those? Sorry.
Let's talk to the beans.
Let's talk to the beans. Hello, beans. How are you?
He's the songbird of his time.
I've been called the songbird of my generation.
All right, it's hot.
Yeah,
It's
we
season
gotta
out.
get out of here.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Yeah.